Welcome back everyone to 3D modeling a Hobbit door scene with Blender 2.9 and Adobe Photoshop. So this is where we left it off. So now what I actually want to do is I need to create the wood that's actually going to go around there. I would like to bring in some better lighting just so we can have a really good visual of actually what we're going to do. I think the first thing though that we need to do is we need to round off these edges a little bit. They're a little bit too hard edged at the moment and they don't look that realistic, because generally this would be made out of something like lead hammered in place, and they'd have lots of kind of bumps on there and things like that, and they would be much more rounded. So first of all, let's come up and put it on material, and then what we're going to do is we're going to click on them, press tab, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab one of them. So I'm going to come to Edge Select, grab one of them. And now you could go around trying to grab all these, but that would be take a long time, very time consuming, so we don't want to do that. Anything that makes the job easier, that's what we want to do. So come up to select and come down where it says select sharp edges, and you'll notice it grabs all those sharp edges for us, and that's exactly what we want. Now I'm just looking here and just making sure, so we can see they've got sharp edges around here, here and here. And what I'm wondering is if I actually want to take these off, for instance, do I want these edges actually beveled as well? And I'm not actually sure yet, so let's just bevel them off a little bit and see what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl B. I'm going to drag it out very, very slowly. Now if you want to drag it out really slowly, hold the shift button down and drag it out, and you'll see then that it's really, really controlled if you do that. So I'm going to drag it out just a little bit. I'm going to left click, drop that in place, and then let's have a look what that actually looks like. And you can see if we go all the way around, that looks much, much nicer, way nicer than what it did before. So if I double tap the A now, you can see that it'll look really, really smooth. And that's exactly what we're looking for. All right, so the next thing I think on our list is to go back to modeling, and let's bring in our HDRI, which basically is a image which we use as our actual environment. And what it does is a HDRI especially actually created to bring in the lighting with it. So it could be a mountain scene with a sun, and the actual sun and all the glint of the mountain and things like that will actually come into your scene. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. If I put this back on Eevee, so let's come to our computer, cycles, put it on our Eevee shader. Let's press Alt H, bring everything back. If it doesn't come back, press the question mark. There we go, everything back. I'm going to keep my cube there just so I can have a good visualization of what this looks like. And then what I'm going to do to bring in my HDRI is come over to this little world icon. Click on there and you can see it comes in as world. And this basically is the background at the moment. As you can see, it's gray, it's boring, and we want something better. So let's come over where it says color, click on this little yellow icon here. Come over to environment texture, click that on, and it will go pink like that. That's because there's no actual texture or environment here at the moment. Now let's come over to open, let it load up. Now within your downloads pack, you will have one that says actual textures, and when I double click this, you'll see I've only got 2 in here at the moment, but you'll see as the course goes on, this will be more populated so that when you come to actually import your textures, they'll all be in here, so don't worry about that. So here we are, HDRI map, and you'll know that in previous courses I've used this particular one. I use it a lot, and the reason is because it's a very, very nice HDRI. You're more than welcome, once you know how to actually do this, to go and grab your own HDRIs. There's a lot free on the internet. Just grab them and bring them in exactly the same way as we're going to do here. So I'm going to double click on there, and you'll see when I've done that there is the HDRI, and you can see now it looks completely different from what it did before. Now the thing is, you can turn this down so you can affect the lighting, how bright it is. So this mixed with the actual sun that we have should give us now a really, really good representation of what our actual scene is going to look like. Now let's put this back onto cycles so we have a good idea. And there we go. Now you can see that this may be a little bit bright at the moment, but the thing that you have to remember is that at the moment we haven't messed around with the lighting or anything like that, so I wouldn't mess around with this too much at this stage. Okay, so now that's in, let's actually come and actually create our edging around this actual window. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all got to make sure that my cursor is actually in the center of this. So I'm going to grab this glass. I'm going to come round to the outside. So I'm going to grab this outside. So Alt, Shift and click like so. I'm going to press Shift S, cursor to selected, and that's going to put my cursor bang in the center there. And hopefully now, when I bring in my actual cylinder, it should come in right in the center. It might be a little bit out, but we'll actually see. So let's press Shift A, mesh, come down to where it says cylinder, and let's bring it in. Now let's spin it around. So R, Y, 90, R, Z, 90, S to scale it down, make it smaller, and let's get it into some sort of size first. So I'm going to press S and Y and just scale it in like so. And let's bring it out to the back of it. Let's press S like so. And what I'm looking for is just having a look to see if it's actually fitting. If I press 1 on the number pad, you can see now that it's really fitting nicely around there. Albeit, I think I want it a little bit bigger, something like that. Now, I did forget to say something, and I will show you quickly just so you know. If I press Shift A again, Mesh, Cylinder, you'll see that this cylinder at the moment comes in. So if I come down here on the bottom left-hand side, you've got a little menu. Now this tells you how many vertices are around this side. In other words, how many faces are on this side. Now when I brought that in, I left it on 32. Again, this is something that you should bear in mind. If you want to keep the polygon count down, or you want to save on resources, for instance, if you're taking into a games engine and you've got a lot of cylinders, you don't want them all at 32. I recommend between 12 and 20 sides is what you should be using. And the reason for that is they're low enough to still get this roundness. So what I mean is if I turn this down to 20, you will see that if I shade smooth, little triangle, auto smooth, that if I look round here now, you can see this still looks relatively smooth. Now, if I brought this in and brought this down to 8 sides or something like that, you would really look, well, you'd really start to get a really chunky look. And that on this scene, we're looking for realism, not actually a stylized scene. So it's not actually something we want. So now that's explained, let's delete that out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our wood. Now we can see that we want this glass not to be sat on top of the wood. We want our glass to still be see-through. So let's fix that now. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my cylinder, come in with face select, grab this front face here. And what I'm going to do is then I'm going to press I and bring it in just to this point here. Now, if you can't see this point here, just come up and put it on wireframe, and now you can see where it brought that into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl Z just to go back, and now I'm going to show you what I mean. So if I press I, I'm going to bring it in, and what I want it to do is be halfway on that piece of metal that is the start of the frame of this actual bird, something like that. Maybe even that's a little bit too far. Just press S if it is, and let's bring it out a little bit more close to the actual edge, and you can see it might not be fitting in. So we can fix that, but we just need to get a start to it. Now let's put it back on material, and what we're going to do now is we're just going to keep this part here. We're going to get rid of the rest of it. So I'll come in with face select, I'm going to grab a face, Alt, Shift and click to grab all of those going around there, and press P to actually separate it from the rest of the mesh. So selection, tab, grab the back of it, press delete, faces, and there you go. Now you can see through it. Now let's see where this is going to be. So we're going to grab it, pull it forward like so. We can see now we've got that metal edging all the way around, and now I actually want to create this into the wood. I also need to decide on how actual thick this wood's going to be, and at the moment, to be honest, it's looking a bit thin. So let's press 1 on the number pad, press tab, edge select, Alt, Shift and click, press the S button, bring it out a little bit like so, and now let's grab it all with L, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it back. So E for extrude, pull it back. Now if it's not going along that line, press the Y button, and what that'll mean is it will actually fix to that actual axis and be able to pull back really nicely. So let's pull it back like so, and now you can see we've got a really nice start to the actual wood part that's going to go around this actual stained glass. Now the one thing you can see is it's a little bit out, it needs pulling forward a little bit and probably a little bit in. So let's get that fixed. So first of all, we'll grab everything with L. I'm going to press Shift Spacebar to bring in my move tool. I'm going to move it forward like so, and then I'm just looking to see if I can see actual any glass through here, which I can. I'm going to press 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and level it up just a little bit. So I'm going to pull it over just a tiny bit like so. I'm going to pull it up a little bit like so. And then I'm going to make it slightly smaller. Again, press the S button and hold the Shift button down just to have a lot of control over it. And you just want this metal part of the edging just actually come in front of the actual wood. Okay, so it should look something like that. So what we're going to do on the next lesson is we're going to finish off this. We're going to mark the seams and sharps and things like that and actually get the wood onto this actual object. Okay everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.